Welcome. In this video I'm going to be giving you my complete long shot guide to snipers. This means I'm going to be running through everything as quickly as possible, from the best game modes, the 6v6 maps I prefer and which spots, and also the classes. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first game mode we're going to talk about, and is probably the most popular option, is ground war. Here you're just going to want to try and find a tall building, a good area to the side, climb every radar tower, just anything you can to get a height advantage, and you'll be able to pick people off when they're moving around the map. But the key to this is staying away from the real large maps. Yes, you can kind of spawn where you want to a certain extent, but I just found these to be really boring, really slow, and you just don't find anyone. Try and stick to the small maps like airport and dome, because these were really compact and you run into people all the time. Another option is to try and snipe out these spawn helicopters, but this is purely dependent on who's driving. But ultimately I found ground war a little bit slow at times, but it is a very good option. The next game mode I'm going to recommend is invasion, and it is a questionable one. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that the bots don't count, and also to stay away from this game mode. Ignore the bots if you want to because they don't count, or just use them as target practice. But ultimately I found invasion a bit more of an enjoyable experience. I always felt involved and the maps were a bit smaller, a bit more intense, whereas ground war just felt a bit slower to me personally. I was less worried about how long it was taking and actually involved in the game and enjoying it. Now with invasion it's also team deathmatch, which means players seem to try and get them kills a bit more. They're running around, they're trying to kill the bots themselves so you can pick them off. Just don't discard it. It's my preferred method, and I definitely think it's one that you should give, 2-3 games and make the decision for yourself. So moving on to 6v6, it is a good game mode, but it is heavily dependent on what maps you get. There isn't anything special out at the moment. This one will work, and I'll speak more on that later. But ultimately, I'd probably go into quick play, change your filters to just domination and hardpoint. This is because there's an objective, people are going to be running around. It's just going to make your life easier picking people off rather than a really slow based game. So as we jump into the spots, I'm just going to quickly show you a couple. I'm not going to show you every spot or every map, just the ones I prefer. Ideally, you need the maps where you can spawn either side and get them long shots. There's no point being one spot on the map that you're fighting for and you spawn the other side the whole time. So Raceway is a great one because you've got this whole section down here which is nice and easy. Loads of things to hide behind. You're going to find this nice and easy here. Like mentioned, you want to be able to spawn either side, and that's exactly what you can do here. It isn't going to matter what side you spawn. You've got an option to get a long shot. Still sticking with this map, you've also got this long corridor here on this side and then this side, but obviously this side's a little bit harder because they'll all be on these headies here. So moving on to the second map now, which is a silo, and probably my favorite for sniper long shots really. Get yourself to the back of this hill. You're going to have the whole of their spawn here, their top building. You can see alleyway, their spawn window, top red, and if you're far enough back, you'll be able to pick people off at barbecue or anyone that's trying to spawn trap you down here, as long as you're far enough back, or more so just here. Now going to the flip side, this is a little bit harder, but you have got their top window, top brick, and obviously top hill, top AC. So you'll be able to pick people off. You can go in the building, a little bit more height. You can use this wall here to get under, brick at the top, and even AC that way. Now I'd try and stay away from this side of the map. This side's going to be really hard to get them long shots. Unless you get yourself in tower here, and you might be able to get a few people spawning, or people towards the hill. But ultimately, I don't really like this whole side. It's just a lot harder. So make your life easier. Try and get yourself to that side over there. Next up is museum. I'm not the biggest fan of museum, but it does work really well with long shots. If you're in this restaurant area and you're far back enough, you will be able to take people out at the top window there. Again, this window, they jump up, and over here, and a lot of them do sort of wait up there. You've also got their spawn this side, and you've got the heady that loads of people sit in camp at. You can jump on a lot of these if you want to give yourself a different angle. That one's not the best, it's this one over here. It's just going to give you a different angle that they might not be expecting. Up in the top window now, you're going to be able to get spawn people here. And then changing angles, you've got up here, you'll be able to get restaurant people, which might just fit in. Anyone that goes out there, I don't know why they added that bit, it makes the map huge. People coming from spawn. And the last spot is literally the back wall. Here you'll be able to pick people off in the restaurant. Anyone coming from the spawn side, they do run down here and get involved in here, God knows why. And you might be able to pick a few people off in the middle. It sounds obvious, but you just want all 4 corners that look into the middle of the map. It's a big open area. You're going to find loads of long shots. So on to the last map that I'm going to talk about, and it's the new one, Expo. For a sniper, you're basically going to want to be in this little section here, trying to pick off people at top window. Here you'll be able to pick people off in the bar area. And then finally this side on the wall, you've got the top window, the whole of this side, and you can even stretch to some people on the bar there. On this side, I'd only really recommend waiting down here or this corner here to get people up in the window or anyone running up to the bar area. I'm not sure if it stretches to the top bar. It does, so you can get an angle here. Now this map is on the 24/7 game mode, like I mentioned earlier. It is a very good option just because you're guaranteed long shot spots. You don't have to back out or get stuck on a rubbish map. So if you want a quick and easy method, I'll just do the 24/7 game mode. Get yourself in here and get the job done. Moving on to the class setups now, and I'm going to rush through these as quickly as possible. So feel free to pause, especially when it comes to the different tuning. The first one is the mcpr, and typically for a long range sniper, I'm looking for aim and stability, damage range, bullet velocity, and that ADS. Don't worry too much about the recoil smoothness or recoil control, it's just how quickly it centers. But after testing, there isn't too much difference if I'm honest. Now the first thing I'll say is I don't typically use the muzzles. If you wanted to use one, then I'd typically stay to one like this. You're going to get that velocity and damage range. But I don't like the fact that you lose ADS and aim and stability, especially as the snipers can fire a long distance anyway. Don't be making life harder for yourself if we're going 200, 300, 400 meters. Stick to that 50 to 150 meter range and it'll be nice and easy. So barrel first, and typically you always go for the long range one. A little bit of recoil steadiness and the damage range here. Love using the laser purely because the aim and stability it offers is really strong, and you're going to get some stability there as well. The stock, I'll always go for one that has aim and stability again, and a bit of aim, walk and steadiness just in case you do have to move slightly. Now the rear grip I would take off if you wanted the muzzle, but here I've gone for the sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. Don't really care about the sprint to fire, but I know that if I can add some aim down sight speed but change it to idle stability and some recoil steadiness here, then it will kind of balance out a little bit better. And then lastly, the velocity rounds, damage range, and just trying to get the benefit out of that bullet velocity there. If we move on to the 6v6 version, we're basically just trying to add a little bit more sort of aim down sight speed. So the barrel comes off and you could use this one here. The only problem is you're losing bullet velocity and damage range, so I prefer not to really have a barrel. Lasers stayed the same. With the stock, you can either keep the same one or change to one that has aim down sight speed. But what I've done is just changed the tuning a little bit just to add a little bit more aim down sight speed, just because I think aim and stability is really important. It just makes hitting them shots easier. Again, with the grip, don't think anything's changed there. This time I've added the bolt, and what this is going to do is allow you to fire that second shot quicker. So if you miss the first one, or in 6v6 there's 2 or 3 on the screen, you'll be able to pick them off much quicker. And the bullet velocity hasn't changed either. Next up is the Victus. Like I said, I'm going to rush through these because a lot of classes are going to be sort of similar, and also you know what I'm looking for already. We've got the longest barrel here. Again with the laser, helping with that ADS and aim stability. Aim stability again on the stock. High velocity rounds, that's the tuning. Now lastly, it was a bit of a toss up between sort of a good muzzle, probably one with like this one here again. But if you look at the damage range already, it's far. So I've gone literally for a grip and focus on that recoil steadiness and some more aiming stability there. For the 6v6 version, we're literally just changing the barrel. We just want a bit more sort of aim down sight speed. And we're also going to change the stock purely because the Victus already has good aiming stability to start. So again, a bit more aim down sight speed is going to work perfect there. Signal 50 long range build now. And again, very similar. Got the long range barrel, the laser. Now this one does actually give aiming stability and recoil control, which is a bit of a change. Now I've gone with the grip for recoil and aiming stability. But if you don't want the grip, then again, pick one of these muzzles. You have two options, which is this one here and this one. I'd personally go for this one, just because if you look at the cons, you lose the damage range here. So I'd stick with this one here. And again, there's a tuning for the high velocity rounds. Now for the 6v6 version, and you can see I've only got 4 attachments. The barrel has come off. You could go to an ADS one like this. There's just too many negatives, too many cons, so I'd stay away. Now for the stock, you could go ADS, but with the stock giving you both aiming stability and recoil control, what I've done is I've just brought down the aim down sight speed here, just to add a bit of that, because it's rare that you get both of them in the stock. The grip here, move down to aim down sight speed, and the velocity stayed the same, and the laser obviously stayed the same as well. The LAB up next, and as always, the longest barrel. The laser for the aim and stability. Now for the stock, you could go recoil control, but I've gone for aim and stability and that aim down sight speed. And then also aim walking steadiness and aim in idle stability. Although it doesn't say aim in stability there, which is a bit strange. Now, high velocity rounds, as always. Now again, your option is a muzzle. This one here. And if I was gonna pick this one, I'd tune it to about that. And that there, like that. Or you can go for something, an option like this, so you can hit that second shot quicker if there's multiple on your screen. I'd probably go for the muzzle on this one though. LAB 6v6, we're going with the shorter barrel, which is going to add aim down sight speed, bullet velocity and some recoil control, so that's pretty handy. Laser hasn't changed. The tuning on this one I've brought down a little bit more towards the aim down sight speed. Velocity hasn't changed. We obviously don't need the muzzle on this one, so you've got a choice between the bolt or the aim assist, which is going to get some aim down sight speed. You can balance it out with some aim and stability there, and I wouldn't really touch too much here. I thought there was just too many negatives straight away, so I'd leave it at 0. The last sniper on the list is the SPX, and this is generally the quickest sniper, one that you'd use more in the 6v6. Now, slightly different setup to the others. This time we're going for a muzzle, recoil smoothness and bullet velocity. And the reason for that is the barrels for long range are absolutely useless. The only one that helps at all is this one, and it's only bullet velocity, and you actually take away damage range. So the muzzle is far more beneficial. Laser as always. Again, the stock is more for speed. We've had to put aim and stability and aim walking steadiness. Grip, aim down sight speed, aim and stability and recoil steadiness, and the velocity mags as usual. So on to the final 6v6 option, and what I'm going to do is show you the laser first, which I don't think's changed. The stock goes a bit more to aim down sight speed. The grip, a bit more down to aim down sight speed again. Velocity mags don't change. Now the options here are either the barrel, which do actually give you velocity and range sort of negatives. You can bring some of that range back, but ultimately it's not a benefit. You could easily take this off And if you wanted a bit more speed, then just add that bolt. I don't think you'd lose too much not having the barrel. So hopefully this video has helped you. If it has, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to see future videos like this, then make sure you smash that sub button. Sorry it's a little bit longer than usual. I just wanted to make sure I put everything out there and make sure you can speed through these long shots as quickly as possible. As always though, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.